Hello everyone. This afternoon we'll take a look at the Ashley Book of Knots Knot 894, the Whitney Rose. Got two variations of it. One is the closed bud, and then we also got the open bud. We'll be going over both, or mentioning both, about how to tie these two different ones. Basically it's the same knot, and also made an alteration of it to where the knot in the center gives more of a bud look to the center and has a little spot. Like here, I took a little bead, red bead stuck to the center to give it a little bit more bling. And you notice with the looks of it, it almost gives the appearance there, the center knot, that you have a star in there, and in reality you don't. So we'll go into that here in a moment. These are 2mm cotton, 22 inches long. So we want to start off by centering these, find the middle. And put a little stopper in the center, open up those strands, pass the second string through the first string, even it up, and then we take our third string and we want to even it up and run our first string through the center of it. Now all these strands here, they're 22 inches long. That'll give you enough if you wanted to do a star knot below it when you're done, and there's enough there to do that. Big hands, little string. Okay, so we've dressed this up, and then we want to go ahead and open our second strand up about a ½ inch, not quite a ½ inch, from the first line, and then pass our second line through. One of the key things here is when you're doing these pass-throughs that you only have one pass-through per string. The other one would be passing through the additional string. If you wind up passing two strings through one, then you wind up locking that in place and you can't adjust the size of your triangle towards the center, and that just causes trouble. I'm going to go ahead and adjust for our center triangle, and this is going to be eventually passing all the strands back through it, so we want to keep that opening there. We don't want to cinch that all the way down. That way later we can pass all of them through. Now to begin the knot, we want to go ahead and do a diamond, which will be a crown and a wall. So we'll crown the first strand, then come under the second for the wall, and just do that all the way around. Something I do a little bit different, a lot of knot tiers will go counterclockwise with their crown and walls, where you'll see here I'm going clockwise, and to me it just makes it a little bit easier to keep up with what I'm doing and where that cross and under needs to go without those prior lines getting in the way. So continue on through crown and wall. And just make sure you're keeping up with your next line, because as you come across and get closer to where the prior lines had fed through, it's easier to get confused about which one is your actual lead that you need to be crowning, using for your crown and wall. So this one here is the one I actually need, so it'll have to pass underneath these two, go across and do the crown and wall. So over, under, and make sure you follow. This is the last one I did, so I'm going to go back to this next one, and that will be my last crown and wall I need to do. Just make sure you don't skip it, because in reality it's easy to do. That crown is already right there by the line. You'll just need to bring it over and wall it and even it up. Okay, now you notice here this one strand will be crossing two lines. So we want to make sure we go through that hole right there. So we do it over, under, between those two lines. Just go all the way around, work your way around the knot. Okay, the last one through. Alright, fair it up. Take a quick look, make sure everything's going where it needs to go. And now we want to start our double. So we'll be taking a line and we double that outside loop or lobe. This will be the one that we would double with that line. Okay. Also, this is where it falls into whether we're doing a closed or open rows. If you go in, it'll be closed. Don't want to go across that one. Make sure you don't skip it. But in will be closed. And if you go to the outside, double it to outside, you'll be open. So first off, we want to go ahead and fair it up, take up as much slack as we can in the knot. I'd like to just leave enough gap in there for another line to go through to do that double up. Okay, everything's paired up. Now our center closed up on us, so we can take our tweezers and just let it expand inside that center, and that'll open that back up, so we got room for those 6 strands to go through towards the end of the knot. Once again, we're going to take our strand, follow that outside lobe, and either go inside for a closed loop rose or outside for an open rose. In this case, we're going to do an open rose, so I'm going to come out, make sure I go to the outside of this line that I'm doubling, and go ahead and work through all of them. Okay, that looks good. So next thing we're going to want to do is go ahead and flip it over and double the back side. So you'll see your strands coming out the hole with the one that you doubled on the front side. Just continue doubling that strand. We're going to take it and pass to the outside once again, because we're doing an open rose. Okay, so everything looks good. That is our diamond knot doubled. So next we want to go ahead and look at giving this a little bit of a dish for that flower bowl shape. So just take our finger, stick it through the center, and kind of bowl it around. And you'll notice here it'll generally always have slack gap here at that top outside the loop. So you'll need to work that out, and you work it out going clockwise, taking that slack out clockwise on that line. And if you notice, that outside one will go through and actually pass through. So a lot of times you can simply just find that line going through and just pull on it, and it'll take that slack out. Now, if you haven't faired it up before and you may have an uneven diamond, you can always back that slack up a little bit if you needed to give a little bit of opening by going counterclockwise with it. But generally, what you'll always see if you did a good job fairing is you only have to worry about taking that gap and slack out the outside lobes. Okay, so that's looking good. So next, we're going to go ahead and lay this out, get ready for our next knot, which is, this is the part now where we're going to be creating that knot, giving it a bud, look like a bud of a flower in the center. And we're going to do that by extending a crown. It'll still create a crown, but we want to extend it instead of just doing a simple crown. So we'll start by crowning these over. And we want to work the slack out now. I use my finger there towards the center, kind of help give it structure as I pull it around. You notice I'm working clockwise again. One thing with the crown, especially when you're using a loose line, if you pull counterclockwise, it has a tendency to lay down and tighten down flat. If you go clockwise with it, you'll actually open it up and stand it up, so that you'll see that you have it standing and you have access to those legs to do the extended portion of the knot. And I like to take my stylus here, hold it through that, and then go ahead and work more of my slack on out, get it as close to that stylus and as much of that slack out as I can, but still leaving openings there for my line to run down through my extension. Okay, so cut that down enough. I still got a nice little gap there, space there for it. So now what we're going to do to extend this is we're simply going to take the lines as they're coming out. We're going to cross over the standing line to the right, and then we're going to cross back out by going under or behind the next line, standing line to the right. Yeah, so this thing will cooperate here. Okay, we're going to reach through, get a hold of that end, turn it, and go back out there. And we'll do that all the way around. We'll cross over into the knot, turn it, next one to the right, come out of the knot. So we have an over-under going on. You'll know you're getting close whenever you get to the spot where you'll actually have two lines coming out of one hole. So what you've done is you've reached that first line that's come through when we worked it. Want to make sure and take that top line is the one that we want to work with. We go over, next one to the right, go in, turn it, next one to the right from there, go out. And then we got one more to do, and this will complete our extension. You want to look for that top line. It'll be the crown. That's the one you want to use. Go over. You got to be careful. It's easy to skip one. You wind up going over the wrong one. You want to make sure you go over that next standing to the right, and then turn and come back out the next standing to the right. And yep, we're looking pretty good here. So now we've extended that, and we want to bring our lines down to the center, and to do that we want to go ahead and go over one more time to the line to the right and go into that center, and then pull it down to the bottom. And it helps to use those tweezers, let them open up to that center in the bottom, take it through, and then just pinch it with the tweezers and bring it out. Once again, we're opening it up in the hole in the bottom with our tweezers, going around next one to the right and through, and pulling it out. Here you want to make sure, check it, make sure your diamond doesn't have any slack. I've got a little bit of slack on this one lobe right here, so I need to work that out. This is the time to make sure you can get out anything that you need to, because once you start pulling this extended down, it's going to wind up seizing down. You won't be able to get your slack, anything out of your diamond beyond that point. So this is the last chance you get to make sure your diamond's in good shape. And this one crown here, it's got a little bit more slack than I like, so I'm going to go ahead and pull that crown down, even it up. Okay, then I'll take my stylus, put it back through again, and slowly work my extension down around that stylus. The stylus will go a long way to prevent the crown from falling in or folding into that opening on you. So you want to slowly work it around. If you pull too much out at once, you'll wind up seizing up on something that still has slack in it. So just want to take your time and work it all down. And sometimes it seems like you just can't quite find the knot that needs to take the slack out. So it helps to pull your slack there to the side where it's dropping down, and then you can actually pull back up on it and see which one's moving. Identify the line that's moving that needs that slack pulled out. And then go ahead and continue on around, drawing up your extended crown. Once you got it down about as much as you're going to get with the stylus, go ahead and take it out. And I like to go ahead and turn the diamond inside out. Flip it over so that you can get exposure to that extension, and make sure you can work out the rest of it. Now, the stylus pretty much, it fills up the gap, and then you're going to have to go ahead and freehand it. And usually when you get to this point, you only have maybe a millimeter, 2 millimeters that you'll need to pull out. Okay, once you've worked it, okay, you have to turn it over. Sometimes this diamond will flip up on you as you're working it. You just want to see your crown on top, and this little side lobes that's created, that'll give it that star knot appearance once you've closed that up. So now all we got to do is dress it. You've got an open rose with a bud in the center.